So today we've got Zac from Collusion. He's going to talk to us about their iPad app, and they actually use Node.js and MongoDB on the application side. So I'm going to hand over to Zac, and at the end of this we'll have a chance for questions and also a demo as well.
Thanks. So, thanks, Stephen. I'm Zac Shenker. I'm working as a software engineer with Collusion. We've been working now for about 2 months, building our backend stack in Node.js and MongoDB as the database. So, I guess first I'll go into what Collusion is. We're a real-time collaboration application on the iPad. We provide a high-accuracy stylus to provide you the ability to write and draw as you would on paper, and then be able to share that easily with anyone else that you need to collaborate with. So it may be your friends, it may be in a business environment, education, and as you can see up here, we've got a few examples of things that people have done in Collusion, some drawing, game playing, and a bit later we'll give you a chance to have a play with Collusion. So I'll go a bit into the basics of how our backend stack works. Our iPad client is a native application written in Objective-C that then sends HTTP requests with JSON packets over to our server. And then when changes happen on projects, we send back information to all the clients that need the data. So I guess the basics of it are all of our requests are HTTPS, secured encrypted connections. We come into a pound proxy that does our SSL offloading that then goes into our proxy for load balancing. And then that forwards, depending on the type of request, to the appropriate application server. And all of our application servers run Node.js with MongoDB database backends. And then we use a few external services from Amazon for things like storing images and other blob data and sending emails. So I guess the reason we chose MongoDB was we're a real-time collaboration app. We know we're going to have the need to be able to scale very quickly, and MongoDB seems like the ideal tool for us. We can get reliability through using replica sets. When we hit the limits of hardware, we'll look at sharding to be able to split our data onto multiple servers. And I guess getting away from relational systems, we get the very fast read and write access of the documents and the collections. And then also the flexibility in being able to store whatever you want in each of your documents. So I guess initially the major change for me personally was getting out of a relational mindset and I guess starting to appreciate what one needs to do to design to get the best out of NoSQL and in particular Mongo. And I guess the biggest thing was you come from a SQL relational mindset and it's all split everything into tables, make sure that you've got references everywhere so that your joins are effective and all your one-to-many, many-to-many relationships, whereas you get to Mongo and everything's now stored as documents and there's a much flatter structure, and you end up having to sort of do all of your joins at an application level now rather than relying on your database most of the time to do that. I guess the other challenges that we faced was when we started designing, I was very much still in a relational mindset and created too many collections and then was trying to link them all together via the IDs. And I had operations where I was trying to treat it like SQL, where you could have a transaction and try and do something. If that failed, try and roll it back. But that started to become problematic over time. So I guess where we got to was flattening our whole object model, document model. So we now have documents that store arrays of embedded documents. And I guess it's getting away from this fear of denormalizing data and starting to accept that to optimize MongoDB, one needs to start utilizing that. So I guess I'll give a brief introduction of Node.js for those that haven't used it before. Basically, it's a web application platform that's using the Google V8 JavaScript engine to be able to run JavaScript on the server side. And it runs in a single threaded model with events and callbacks, so all of your I/O happens as asynchronous operations. So one of the issues that we did run into there was, at the moment there is around 1.7 gig heap memory limit in V8 that is going to be improved and people are working on, but at this point, since V8 was originally designed for the browser, it does have some of those limitations. And we did at one point have issues where we were retrieving large result sets from Mongo, and if you had lots of requests coming in, you could very quickly start using up memory, storing all these result sets. So we ended up using we use Mongoose, which is a ODM layer, and we ended up using a streaming model that's provided there, which then allowed us to sort of get callbacks as each document started coming in. And then I guess one of the other changes with Mongo is, since the database will just accept everything that you give it, you don't get any of the validation and checks that you would in a relational system when you go, this is a numeric type, I want to store numbers in there. So we've then used the Mongoose ODM on top of it, which sits on top of the Node.js driver, to provide us some of those features and provide us some of that validation. Then this hasn't so much been an issue for us yet, but I guess is something to be aware of, is that MongoDB by default will fail silently. A lot of the drivers support a safe mode flag, which will make sure that it performs the get last error command after you do a write. But if you don't do that, or it isn't enabled on your driver, you can get into a situation where that can be a problem. And I guess you may also have cases where you don't want to run that, so you do always have the option of switching off the safe mode and the error checking. We did also run into some issues with some of the Node.js libraries and drivers. It is a very active community, so bugs are being fixed all the time, but in that process they are introducing new issues. And we also have had issues with updating to Mongo 2.2 where we hadn't updated our client drivers yet, so we ended up with some incompatibilities and problems until we did do that upgrade. And then one of the other issues we've had is with some of the GUI tools for MongoDB. I find personally a lot of the time I'm writing MongoDB queries and will just be on the command shell and running commands directly on the database. But that does become cumbersome when you have tasks that other people that aren't regularly working with Mongo want to do, or you want to just quickly save queries that you've written. So I guess later I'll talk to people, and if you've got any suggestions of GUI tools, that'd be great. So in terms of our server platform and hosting, all of our services are running on cloud hosting with Orion VM. They provide very fast SAN systems and disk access, and so far have been great. So if you're looking for cloud hosting in Australia, definitely check them out. We've also set up service monitoring graphing using Munin, so all of our instances provide us graphs and statistics. We also have, as you can't really see up there, but that's just one of the graphs that has been generated from our Munin system showing the MongoDB operations. I guess one of the other things that's been really easy and nice to use is the Node package manager. There's a very active community around Node.js and an excellent package management system. You can set up a package.json file, specify all of your dependencies, all the exact versions you need. You then push that up to your server with all your app code, run a single npm install command, and it goes and fetches and sets up and installs all the packages you need. So that's been really easy to use for us. We have also recently upgraded to MongoDB 2.2. We're still in the process of figuring out how we best use some of the new features, but we did find that the version of Mongo we originally had installed was from the OS package and was 1.4, so we were starting to run into some limitations there and just couldn't use a lot of the new features. So if you do want to get the latest Mongo packages, make sure you use the 10gen packages to install. And as I think I mentioned earlier, right now we're not sharding, but that will be something that we'll look at when we get up to a greater scale. At the moment, we're planning to sort of scale for a while just on hardware. And right at the moment, we're just running single database instances, but that will be expanded to replica sets for greater reliability. And yeah, that's it. If you've got any questions.
Actually, I've got a question. So, talk a bit about why you chose that hosting provider.
Yes. I guess it's been, look, at the moment we're servicing mainly Australian customers, so we wanted to keep it in Australia. They're providing a scalable infrastructure so we can spin up new virtual machines whenever we need to. And performance-wise, they're providing a very fast SAN with very fast disk access that beats things like Amazon's EC2 and their elastic block storage by quite a lot. So yeah, that's been the main reasons we've been on Orion.
So it's infrastructure as a service that you're getting, not platform stuff, but like they're not
yeah, it's all virtual machines, so it's a Zen virtual machine platform. And you then create your images and can boot those up or start new images whenever you need to. So, yeah.
Did you compare with Amazon?
We didn't. We are using Amazon for some services that Orion don't offer us, like S3 and email at the moment. We didn't really go too into depth in terms of comparing them, but I guess did look at what each was offering and some of the benchmarks and statistics out there.
Just in terms of GUIs, I haven't found a really great GUI.
Yeah.
I use Mongo Hub on Mac, Mongo View on PC.
Yeah, we have so far been using Mongo View. We now have run into some issues with, after we've upgraded to 2.2, where you'll make a change and it will change on the database, but the tool keeps popping up errors, and they're not frequently updating the tool, and it's never been particularly good. So we are looking. Well, that's the thing. Yeah. But then it's you write a query and you want to go and stick that somewhere so someone can get to it later, and yeah. And I guess for people that aren't always writing queries and aren't familiar with the Mongo syntax, we want something where it's a bit more of a GUI and a bit easier to sort of get into. So.
I did think about creating some JavaScript libraries. So everyone, when they logged into the GUI, right into the console, would get some custom functions and things like that. But I haven't done it.
Yeah.
Just sort of thought that was quite cool. Yeah, I just thought it was nice that you can extend the console with custom JavaScript.
Yeah.
Are you using MMS for your monitoring as well?
Not at the moment. We're just using some Munin graphs at the moment. But yeah, I was going to have a look at MMS.
Cool, because you can actually hook Munin and tables as well. So
Okay, right.
it's helpful if you just to on the system.
Okay, great.
Are you using custom media plugins for Mongo?
Yeah, we were using, I think just off the Munim plugins GitHub, there were some that we went in and installed. So, yeah.
What about other NoSQL options like Couch? Did you look at any of those, and what made you choose Mongo?
I guess I was sort of came in at the point where the decision on Mongo had already been made. Yeah. Is that anything you want to?
A lot of people recommend MongoDB.
Yeah.
Especially right
We evaluated Couch for a while. It's pretty cool actually, but I don't know, it doesn't have the community support that Mongo has. One thing I love about Couch though is it has active database support, which is pretty unique.
We were going
So where does MongoDB come in this? I mean, like the data is stored in the DB or they like...
Sure, yeah. The data is stored in the DB somewhere else on the server.
Yeah, that's what nice math going on.
So every time you draw, it will send a JSON message to our API server, and that will process it, validate it, which we have permissions to run that canvas, things like that. And if everything's cool, we put it in the database, and then tell all the other clients that there's a drawing, so that they can display it. And that's how it all works.
Interesting, okay. How do you actually handle, I mean, like, let's say if the users are located in different states, for example, I mean, like, it had to be really quick, right? Like, just send out.
So what we do is we use a comet kind of model, or long polling kind of model, really. So the client will like open up a connection to the server, and we'll keep it open the whole time. So the server has an opportunity to push new information to you instantly. So really the only delay you'll ever experience is the latency between you and them. Otherwise it's all real time.
It is the thing that's missing. Microsoft has implemented a kind of a half-assed whiteboard and link.